This is a walkthrough of Unit 1, Mod 2, Practice. Going to pick up down at this task right here. Define a simple function. The name of the function is going to be title it. We're going to have to call the function. The function is going to have one string parameter. And it's going to print the message in title case. So we're going to do some string formatting. It's about 3 lines of code to get this done. Start off with defining the function itself. Define. The name is going to be title it. And it actually is going to have a parameter. MSG is going to be the name of is going to be the parameter. And that's pretty much it for the header. The only thing it's going to do is going to print MSG, but we're going to do string formatting, the title case, which is title, and that's it. Bring it down a couple lines, get rid of the indent, no more indentation, and now call it title underscore it. And it didn't tell us to get any user input or anything like that. We could declare a variable and assign it to the variable, assign a string to the variable, and then use the variable. But we could also just put a string literal in here. And what is it? This is my title. There. That's all we need. Let's test it. And that appears to work. Appears to meet all the specifications. I think that's it. Let's go down to the next one. All right, we're going to get user input with a prompt, what is the title? And then we're going to call title it using input from the string, using input for the string argument. So we're going to use the same function, but we do not have to write it all over again. It's already done. As long as we have run this cell, then it is in memory and we have access to it. So I can come down here and call it from down here and still have it work properly. So now we're going to do what? Input, user input with a prompt. What is the title? I'm going to go ahead and assign this to a variable. I'll call the variable title. Input. What's it? What is the title? And now I'm going to call it, let's see, title underscore it and title. I think this will work. Let's give it a shot. Let's see. This is another title. And there it worked. And once again, I believe that we've met all the specifications. So we're finished with that. Let's go down to the next one. Define title it return. Okay, so this one's going to have a return. Let's get this ready. It returns a titled string instead of printing. Okay, so instead of printing it, it's going to return it, which means we need to make use of the return value. We're going to call title it return using input for the string argument and print the results. Okay, let's define it. Title it return. And it is going to have a parameter. We're going to send that. And okay, didn't tell us what to name it, so we'll just go ahead and give it a name, title. All right, and what's it going to do? It's going to return. Returns a titled string instead of printing it. Okay. I guess that looks okay. Do everything right there? Yeah. All right, come down. I think that's all we need inside the function. And now we're going to call the function. But here's the thing. We have to call it in such a way we're making use of the return value. An easy way to do that is just print out the return. So we can put it inside of a print function. Now let's call it. And we're told to use input for the string argument. Okay, we can use input for the string argument. Input. Did it tell us what to prompt it? No, but let's go ahead and use the same prompt we used before. What is the title? Okay. Let's run that. Let's try it. Didn't like that a bit. Am I missing a parenthesis? 1, 2, 3. Yep, I'm missing a parenthesis. See, isn't it nice? It points right to where the issue is. Now let's run it. There we go. Just another lowercase title. And it seems to be working just fine. Okay. All right. What are some of the common mistakes that we could encounter around this? Let's see. I think the one common mistake would be not accounting for the return value. And let's see what that would actually look like if we did not account for the return. This is what it looks like when it did what it's supposed to do correctly. But watch what it does. Let's see. Just another title. All right. So now you see it printed out, and you might wonder, well, what's wrong? It looks like it still did it, but there is a slight difference. And notice that it's got the single quotes there. This is in single quotes. And the single quotes indicate that it's just telling you what the value that was returned. It's telling you this is the value that was returned. Doesn't mean that you did anything with it. So whenever you're doing your test and you see the single quote like that and you did not purposefully put single quotes around it, then it's telling you that that's just merely the value. That's not the way we want it. We would consider that a logic error because that is unintended output. So if we put it inside of a print function, we are now making use of the return value, and it will give it to us without the quotes, which means that we did do something with it, and this is the output that we wanted. All right, let's come down to the bookstore. All right, let's look at the criteria. Takes two string arguments, and the two string arguments are book and price. Take note that it's using the word arguments. So book and price is what I'm going to be sending to the to bookstore, which is the function. Bookstore is going to return a string in sentence form, and bookstore should call title it return, so I don't have to redo something that's already been done. And the book is going to be the parameter. The book is going to be sent over to title it return, and we're going to get the input for the book to use in calling bookstore. Okay, so we're going to get inputs. We're going to use a return value, and the example of the output is right there. Title: The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Cost $12.99. All right, that seems like a lot, but breaking it down piece by piece, it's not going to be that much. Let me get some space here. All right, so first off, we want to define bookstore. Get that going. Define bookstore. And it didn't tell us what to name the parameters for this. It did tell us that the arguments should be book and price. So I'm going to name the parameters nothing more than B and P for book and price. That's not very descriptive, but I think since we're in such a small number of lines of code, I think that it will be clearly understood. Let's finish off the header. And I'm indented, so let's see. Now I need to call, we're going to call, what is it, title it return. So we're going to be sending B, the parameter B, whatever this data is right there, the book. You know what? Let's see. We're going to send that to title it return, and then we're going to assign it to a variable. I'm going to call it the book. And we're going to get it from title it return, and we're going to send B over there. That's the parameter. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is create the return. Well, you know what? I could do this. I could put it all as return, or I could create a whole new variable. Let's do a whole new variable, and then I'll return the variable. So I'm going to call my variable string output. I think it's just going to be a little cleaner this way. And I'm going to put title, colon, let's concatenate the book from above with, whoops, lowercase, costs, and plus, and then the price. That's the second parameter. And then we're going to return str output. Now, of course, I could have done all that in one line. Line 6 could have had everything on line 5, except for the assignment statement and such, but just thought it might be a little bit cleaner to do it this way. All right, so next thing, I think we're finished there. We're finished with the function. Let's come down, and now we need to get book from input. All right, and then price. And I'm going to we're just going to assume that whoever's using this is going to put price in without the $sign. And this is also kind of driving home that we have a string here. So I can concatenate and input. Now, we're living in a perfect world here in the sense that whoever's using this program will never put my data in incorrectly. So, and on line 9, I'm putting the $sign there as a reminder. I'm putting the $sign using concatenation as a reminder that everything that comes in through input, even if it's just numbers, it's still a string when it comes in through input. All right, now let's print. What are we going to print? Okay, we're calling bookstore, and the parameters, the arguments are book and price. Now, I'm putting it in the print function because I'm making use of the return value. And I think I've got everything covered here. Looking through, I think I have everything accounted for. 2 arguments, got book and price, returns the string in sentence form. And here is the example of the sentence. It's calling title it return, and it is on line 4. Let's see, gather input for book and entry using calling bookstore, gather input for book entry and price entry to use in calling bookstore. Huh. I wonder if one could interpret that book entry and price entry should be the parameters. No. Could have, but... Alright, this is the way we're doing it. Let's see if this runs and works. What is the title? Okay, this is my first title. It's my first title. Oh, no. Book. Not that it matters. How much was it? $19.99. Title, this is my first book, cost $19.99. There it is. Pretty straightforward. Now, there's different ways as I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the instructions. Gather input for book entry and price entry. Book entry and price entry. These instructions are a little bit confusing. I hope it didn't confuse you, because the arguments are book and price. I think that's good enough. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. Let's go down to fix the error. Well, looking at this, I don't see, and I've already looked at this once before, and I don't see anything that just jumps right out. So let's run it and see what kind of error comes out. The name error comes out. Okay, print makes... Okay, what's the problem with name error? Get name is not defined. Where is get name? Make greeting, get name. Well, get name is right down here. And it's saying it's not defined. Well, that's because it's down here. So if we were move it up, now let's try it. Get name, let's use my name. And now we've got another error. What is it? What's our next error? It's a name error. And what is it? It says, let's see, where is the... Oh, here it is. Get greeting is not defined. Okay, so if we take our greeting and we move it up here, now let's try it. Patrick. Hi. Hi, Patrick. Now, take note on line number 9. Well, it's now it's line number 9. Take note to the second parameter. Greeting is assigned the value of hello. That's a default parameter, so if in case we don't have anything, but would this allow us not to have something? Well, let's try and see if it would allow us not to have something. It keeps going. Okay, so it did not give us the hello as the default greeting. So let's take a look here. Line number 5. No, that's not where I want to go. I want to go on line 13 and just do one argument instead of 2 arguments and see if it makes a difference. Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Okay. So although this is not necessarily an error, there's nothing to fix. On line 9, we have a default parameter in a scenario where the default parameter would never be used. So when we look at that, it's not necessarily an error, but it does display a little lack of understanding if that were the way we'd submit this, because we would never have a scenario where we have no opportunity for the program user to submit a greeting. So take that out and put the get name back. No, get greeting. get greeting back. And once again, that last thing we did, not necessarily an error, but it was something that would never happen. We'd never have the default the way this was written. And that's it. That covers the bookstore program, the tasks before that, and finally the fix the error.